Welcome, everyone. I want to welcome you to the Maine Forum on Outdoor Learning. My name is Nathan Broaddus, and as the manager of the Nature Based Education Consortium, I'm really pleased to hold a space today for the sharing and learning that we're here for. From my place as a hub of this outdoor learning network, it's really clear how much energy, passion, experience, and vision all of you bring to this work. And in particular, I really want to bring attention and to thank and to recognize the 25 schools, organizations, and the Maine Department of Education who are co-hosting this forum for all of their collaboration on this and so many other things. This level of collaboration is a really strong example of why Maine is special. I think we're at the forefront of a grassroots outdoor learning movement, one that has the potential to transform education and our communities. As a network focused on advocating for outdoor learning opportunities for all Maine youth, we involved in the Nature Based Education Consortium know that stories are a powerful advocacy tool and instrument of change. And today, we're going to hear some powerful stories from schools and community partnerships about their work, and we'll hear from you about your challenges and innovations in outdoor learning this year. In this movement, our stories are our power. And as a collaborative effort, many will be leading us through the next hour. So with gratitude, I'll like to pass to Jessica Decky of the University of Maine Cooperative Extension 4-H Camp and Learning Center at Tanglewood to lead us in a land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Nathan. One way that we can support equity is by beginning our meeting by acknowledging our history of colonization and oppression, and that our organizations has had a role in that. We acknowledge that these systems of oppression are still in play, and that historical events, as well as current events, cause impact and trauma felt today. It's important to remember that whenever we are in Maine, we are on the home of the Native peoples who have stewarded these lands through generation, and many of whom were forcibly removed from their lands. Maine is home of the Wabanaki, currently made up of Maliseet, Micmac, Passamaquoddy, Abenaki, and Penobscot. One action we can take in our lives to counter the erasure of Indigenous narratives is to learn about the history, past and present, of Native people in our communities. Historically, white communities have been centered in the environmental education and conservation sector, and the contributions of Black, Indigenous, and people of color are often excluded from that narrative. Black, Indigenous, and people of color, BIPOC, have vibrant and rich histories and cultures that contribute to our field. We all have responsibility to continue working to change the systems that continue to allow injustice and inequity to exist. Thank you for joining us in this work here today.
Thanks so much, Jessica, for sharing that land acknowledgement and acknowledgement of injustice as we work really hard in all of this work to center equity and keep it and hold it at the center as we move forward. Hi, everyone. My name's Olivia Grissett, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm the executive director at the Maine Environmental Ed Association, and I'm so excited that you're all here today to be part of this forum, talking a little bit more about outdoor learning in Maine schools. Just as a reminder, we had our first statewide forum in July, and that was a really powerful collaborative gathering where we put our heads together as schools, in this crazy year of COVID. We were trying to figure out, how do we have schools come back, and are there ways that we can build supports and resources and share learning across the state to try to help schools teach more outside as like a safety measure for COVID. And that was a really powerful event. And here we are now in December, the beginning of December, after a fall of schools really pivoting really successfully to teaching and learning outside. And we thought it would be a great time to come back together to look at the last few months, what is working, highlight some stories, and then continue to share resources, because we also are starting to enter a different season with new challenges that's going to arise around winter and colder weather and outdoor learning. So thank you all for being here, and most importantly, thank you all for all your work you're doing in your schools and your communities, just to navigate this time and to get our youth outside learning. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of trends that we're seeing this year. First of all, I just mentioned it, outdoor learning in Maine schools has rapidly expanded in 2020, and it's building off a precedent of powerful environmental education and community-based environmental learning we've already had going in Maine, but it's just kind of really, with COVID, opened up the doors literally for schools to experiment and get outside a lot more. And so we're just seeing a really big expansion in this part of our sector. The second thing we're seeing is that the network of educators that are teaching outdoors has grown as well. And a lot of times we have incredible community partner support where there's local providers in the nonprofit space helping schools to do this. Sometimes we're seeing it, the schools themselves are just teaching each other when we have a champion within the school or an administrator. So we're seeing this happen in different ways, but there's definitely no question the number of folks who are teaching outside has really increased this year in Maine schools, which is incredible for youth and young people, because we do know that there's a ton of research out there, and I probably don't have to convince the folks that are coming to this forum that this is really healthy for mental health and social emotional learning, for gaining a sense of place and connection to and rooted in their learning and community, and for hands-on learning. And also in COVID, there's a lot of research that's about 20 times safer to be outside than inside. And so, folks have been really leaning into experimenting here, even if they were nervous about it in the past. The third trend that we've seen are some of the districts have been really able to mobilize around CARES Act funding and use it to implement outdoor learning in their schools. So we're seeing a huge number of outdoor classrooms going in across the state. We're seeing a lot of really interesting uses of CARES Act funding, even around equity buying warm clothes. Like I think the Portland school districts they bought like 600 snow pants and 1,000 pairs of mittens. So just really using their CARES Act funding smart in order to try to do this. There's also been some really cool community partnerships we're going to highlight today with providers that have helped host school off campus or in parks or in EE residential centers. The other thing we've seen is that not just CARES Act funding, there's been a whole bunch of community resources that have been really, really impactful to help support educators doing this in local schools. One example is the funding community has really stepped up in Maine, and Mia just ran a statewide outdoor learning grant. We were able to raise like $108,000 really quickly, turn it back to schools. And we only had our request for proposals open for 2 weeks. We had 1/6 of every public school in Maine apply for projects, and they're doing all sorts of amazing outdoor learning projects, so powerful. And we were able to fund 85 schools to do these projects this year. That's just one example, but there's also been so many amazing stories of community stepping up to come out and build outdoor classrooms, to mobilize around building these really cool easels in schools, nonprofits just really coming to the school and figuring out creative partnership work. So it's been kind of a really powerful time of community coming together to support this. And we want to see that continue in the future. I think we're only scratching the surface of the creativity there, of how we can really mobilize our communities to continue this into the future. And the fourth one is, this is really an opportunity. It's a moment in our time here in education for us to lean into reimagining education outside of the four walls, and really thinking about how can we, long-term do more powerful education with Maine youth in schools, getting them out of their seats and into their classroom, into their school gardens, into their local community, to continue this type of powerful learning. And I think we're all coming together. We're doing it differently, but we're coming together across networks in a really powerful way to collaborate and to share. And it's created this momentum in Maine that's pretty unprecedented around the country. And in my job at MIA, I get the privilege of sitting on different national committees working on this. And Maine is truly a national leader in outdoor learning. And folks are looking to us to kind of understand what's happening. And you've seen it coming out in the New York Times this fall, in U.S. News and World Report, like all over. They're highlighting Maine because we're experimenting and we're trying to do this work here. And I was in a meeting with a bunch of folks from California, and they're like, if Maine can do it in November, then we can do it in California. So this work is really powerful and really inspiring. So I'm just here to say thank you so much to everyone who's been collaborating and working to make this come to life in Maine for our kids. So thank you so much. The next thing I just wanted to show is we've been working on creating a tool. We've created a tool this year in our Teach Me Outside Collaborative, which is a collective impact project with the Maine Math and Science Alliance, MIA, and NEBEC, the Nature Based Ed Consortium. And this is a tool that you can use. We're going to show it right now just because it's really inspiring. It highlights some amazing people. It was done all with folks in Maine. And it's a tool that you can actually take and use. We'll share the link. You can show it to parents. You can show it to your school board. If you're in administration, you can show it to your administrators if you're a teacher. Just a tool to try to show this powerful outdoor learning and how it can impact kids. So without further ado, we're going to show the video.
Youth are not the future of tomorrow. Youth are the future of today. There is just so much to discover outdoors that one can't necessarily do inside. Learning in a classroom and learning in the outdoors, they're two completely different experiences. It is one thing to teach a student about biodiversity, about insects, about the outdoors, and it's a completely different experience to actually have that student engage with the outdoors, with the environment. My sophomore year, I attended the Stormwater Management and Research Team Summer Institute at the University of Maine, and there I learned about water quality, water justice, as well as just the environment in general, and it really made me passionate about these issues. It's super important that we not only learn about our setting, it's important that we preserve it because we don't have another home. We simply just have to value the one that we have, protect the one that we have, and educate ourselves on this place that we have. In their recent comprehensive review of environmental education literature, Stanford researchers found a number of trends that demonstrate environmental education has a very positive impact on learning, motivation, skill building, and empowerment. 98% of studies report a positive impact on student knowledge gained in topics such as math, science, and reading.
I grew up right here in Cushing. You can do just about whatever. You go out into the woods, run around the woods, go fishing out behind the house. Outdoor experience I've learned is lobstering. Just learning where lobsters are, learning the bottom of the St. George River, how the lobsters crawled in and out, when they came, when they went, how the tide's running on where to set the trap back to have it land in a certain spot that you want.
90% of studies report increase in critical thinking skills.
I think that we try and be very aware of the message that we're giving kids around how to sustainably care for food systems and for the local ecosystem. And part of that is our culture of hunting and fishing and logging that's here in Maine. And I think it's really important that we honor that in addition to helping them understand where sustainability practices and caring for the land also come into play.
I am an early childhood educator working in a public school. It's very important to me to make sure that my students get the movement and the outdoor experiences that they need to be successful learners. And I find that once we've had those experiences, the learning is much more rich and much more meaningful. You can take any learning standard and teach it and experience it and learn with it outside.
My vision for education in Maine is one where kids love going to school. They feel that they are welcomed and included in school, and that they feel a sense of purpose. Outdoor learning helps to create that sense of purpose. I think it does engage some of our more reluctant learners for whom sitting at a desk and engaging in a typical paper pencil task is a more challenging experience or a less fulfilling experience. I think outdoor learning can give that child a new classroom and a new place to feel successful. And I really think at the end of the day, when we help our kids feel like successful members of our community, we've provided them the foundation where the academic skills will grow.
I am really working towards making sure that environmental education and outdoor ed is something that all Maine youth, all Maine students have access to.
I like being outside because I like to discover new things.
Thank you all for watching that. It's a truly inspiring video. Again, my name is Jessica Decky, and I'm the director of the UMaine 4-H Learning Center at Tanglewood. And it's a real honor to be with you all here today. Across Maine, there are 4 4-H learning centers: Blueberry Cove in Tennant's Harbor, Bryant Pond in the Bethel area, Greenland Point in Princeton, and Tanglewood in Lincolnville. Our programs provide transformational experiences for youth and adult that create a sense of place and belonging, comfort and confidence in the outdoors, and a commitment to caring for the earth. Collectively, we serve over 9,000 youth per year through school partnerships, summer camps, and experiential education programs. For over 30 years, educators at our centers have collaborated with schools to support positive youth development through diverse programming centered around ecology and community building education, with the goal to provide what best supports student learning and teachers' needs. All programming is now also aligned with Maine learning results and next-gen science standards and are delivered through nurturing hands-on learning experiences. With the onset of the coronavirus pandemic, our staff quickly pivoted to support learning from home through teaching materials and virtual lessons, as well as community needs through food distribution. As summer progressed, our team began meeting with school administrators to troubleshoot the best and safest ways we could help promote learning through time in the outdoors. At Blueberry Cove, Bryant Pond, and Tanglewood, this has led to partnerships with schools in 5 districts for on-site, at school, or virtual programming. We have 2 school administrators joining us today to share more about their experiences with these partnerships. I'll hand it over to Glenn Widmer.
Hi, everyone. My name is Glenn Widmer. I'm the principal at Captain Albert Stevens School in Belfast, Maine, part of RSU 71. And I am very happy to be part of the Tanglewood family. This is the 2nd district in which I've had a partnership with Tanglewood, and it has just brought rich experiences that otherwise would not be possible to my students. So thank you, Tanglewood, and thank you for hosting this conference today. I'll start with a story. Yes, California may be impressed that we're doing things in November. It's December now. I went upstairs to eat lunch with the 2nd and 3rd graders today, and I couldn't find any 2nd or 3rd graders in our school. And I was told that they were outside eating lunch. So I joined them eating lunch today. While I was out there, I was just talking about how amazing it was that we were still outside in December. And one of the students very excitedly told me that yesterday, and those of you who aren't from Maine, yesterday was a very blustery day here. The wind was blowing, the rain was falling. And I happened to be outside and I heard children's voices. I wasn't really sure what it was, but this student very excitedly let me know that they were outside in the outdoor classroom learning yesterday. So it really has, this partnership with Tanglewood has had a very lasting impact on everything that we do at our school. And sorry about that, we're doing our dismissal right now. So what we've done is this year, our partnership with Tanglewood has allowed for, what I did is I opened up for any teachers that were interested in partnering with with Tanglewood, and all teachers wanted some sort of partnership. So I think that's a real testament to the relationship that we have with Tanglewood, that every single teacher was interested in doing something at some level with Tanglewood. And grades 2 through 4 all went 1 day a week to Tanglewood earlier this fall, and then Tanglewood came to us the latter part of the fall to work with our students on our campus. And then the grade 5 group of teachers, they also worked with Tanglewood through the through another program that we've been working with Tanglewood on for a number of years. And the biggest barrier to successfully working in an environment like what we're doing with Tanglewood is funding. And I would really like to say a big thanks to Tanglewood for finding ways to help us with the funding, and for the Maine Department of Education and Leanne Larson in particular, who really helped us find a way to fund this experience. And one of the biggest barriers is funding, but another one is teacher interest. And not teacher interest, but I think teachers tend to be very nervous about taking kids outside because they don't know what it's going to be like. It's a forum that's, for many teachers, it's not something that's familiar to them. So one of the benefits of Tanglewood is that once the teachers get there, they can see that it works, that there are ways to work successfully with kids outside. And not only is it a successful experience, but that it is really an opportunity for kids who might not typically be successful in the classroom to be really, really successful. And if we can go on to the next slide, Nathan, that'd be great. And this is a highlight from one of the days, and we were at Tanglewood earlier this fall. It shows kids that came up to me and told me things that I just never would have imagined they'd be telling me. And that's the real power of outdoor learning. And this experience has allowed those students who sitting in the classroom and doing something that's inactive just doesn't work for them. So getting the teachers out there and working with their kids, seeing their kids be successful, seeing the techniques that the Tanglewood instructors use with the students has been enriching for everyone. And then those teachers come back to the school and they try out the things that they've seen working successfully at Tanglewood, either out on the trails that we have around school or in the school gardens or out in our outdoor classroom. And outdoor learning is happening all the time at our school. And I really credit our partnership with Tanglewood as being a big part of that success. So the big benefits, just getting those kids out there and getting the teachers seeing those kids being successful outside and then bringing it back to the classroom. So sorry for the bus announcements. It just happened to coincide perfectly with my time to present. And Mike, I'll pass it on to you.
Thanks, Glenn. So my name is Mike Felton. I'm the superintendent for St. George MSU in the Mid-Coast, Maine. So I'm going to talk about our partnership with Blueberry Cove, and that's a relationship and a partnership that's developed over time. Our school is a community school. We're on a peninsula, and we really view the peninsula as our campus. It's been part of our philosophy since we became our own school district. Our mission is to do whatever it takes to make sure every student thrives. We look at academic growth, character development, and health wellness. We define health wellness as physical and mental health, social and emotional well-being, and food security. So really looking at a variety of areas where we need students to thrive for them to be overall successful. Only way we can realize that mission is to partner with other groups and organizations in our area and individuals. And when the pandemic hit, the importance of those partnerships became even more apparent and pressing. As we spent the spring and summer planning for a return to school in the fall, we faced a lot of challenges. Two of the biggest were space, because we needed to spread the kids out and keep them in small groups or pods. And we wanted to keep our kids moving and outside. And for our middle level students especially, our new structure was going to be a real challenge because they were going to spend the entire day in one classroom rather than moving from classroom to classroom. The teachers were going to come to them. And we wanted to make sure we kept movement in their day. They would have breaks, but we wanted something more substantial than that. So we were getting a little desperate trying to figure this out. And I think in late July or August, I called Ryan Lashane, the Blueberry Cove director, and basically said, is there any way we could send one of our middle level classes, we call them crews, to your campus at your camp every day, every school day? And to Ryan's great credit, he said, yes, we'll find a way to make that happen. And that was huge because there was so much happening. Everything was moving so fast that if he had said like, I'm not really sure, that may not work, we probably would have moved on because time was so pressing. But right away, he was willing to work with us and make it happen. We got funding through a variety of sources, some that Blueberry Cove had, some of the funds and resources that they had available. And then we used some of our federal coronavirus relief funds as well. Ryan met with our middle level team leader over the summer. They developed some of the programming and the schedule for the kids. And they made it so every day of the week, there's a different class at Blueberry Cove. And it worked. We get our kids outside, they're learning, they're playing, they're moving, they're exploring. Other than the masks and social distancing, this is a time when they can forget about the pandemic for a while and just be kids. And that is so essential right now because in the regular school days, there are so many rules and protocols we have to follow. For them to have that extra freedom, I think is just essential. And I think, maybe most importantly, we want to continue this in the future beyond, this. I think this is going to be one of the positives that come out of this crisis is we think the scope of learning needs to expand beyond like this conference and this talk is all about beyond the classroom. And, I think this is going to be part of how we're going to do that. And just the last thing I'll touch on briefly, the before and after school programs, we partnered with Blueberry Cove to start those. We've wanted an after school program in our community for a really long time. And many different groups have tried and nothing stuck. Blueberry Cove stepped up and working with the school and an Island Institute fellow named Ellie Mason, they started an after school program last year. And that was really, targeting all families, but really trying to support our working families. And then this year we had to move the start time of school back to 9 a.m. And because of bus issues, we had fewer kids on buses because of safety protocols. And, that was going to have a big impact on working parents. And I had a parent call me in August saying, do I need to give my 2 weeks notice? Do I need to resign? Because I have to be at school I have to be at work by 8. If I can't drop my daughter off until 8:45, I have to resign. And I said, no, we're a community. We'll try to figure this out. And, with Blueberry Cove's help, we did. And I saw that woman in the fall, and she was just so grateful that she felt like the community really stepped up and took care of her and her family and took care of her as a mother and a working parent. And I think that's sort of the power of these partnerships. I think there are so many demands on schools right now that the only way we're going to succeed is by partnering with groups like Blueberry Cove, like Tanglewood, that can help us meet all of the needs of the kids and of the families. So thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mike and Glenn, for your contributions and your stories. They're really important to hear. We'll now hand things off to Laura and Alex.
That's good. That's a hard act to follow, that story, Mike. I got a little clump thinking about the parent and how the sort of community holding people. So thank you so much for sharing that story. My name is Alex Grindle. I am at the Ecology School down in Saco, and I also get to work with the MIA, Maine Environmental Education Association. So it's wonderful to be here, and what an amazing group of people. I was watching people scroll in and introduce themselves, and there's such an awesome wide range of people represented. And so thank you for being here and welcome. And because there is such depth of knowledge here, we wanted to make sure to take a moment to capture that from you and to hear from you what's going on and what the pulse is, out there in the classroom. And so we're going to take a few minutes to go into Menti, so menti.com, and in a minute I will be ably assisted by Laura Newman, who will put a link in there in the chat. And what's going to happen is you're going to be prompted. We're going to take a few minutes with the first question about what our challenges are for outdoor learning, and then we'll take a few more minutes on the successes. You'll only be able to answer the challenges until we've decided we've captured that. And what you'll get to type it in and enter, but in order to see it, you'll actually want to be on the Zoom screen. So you're going to need a little technical wizardry, which I have full faith in your ability to do. What you need to do is if you click right on that link that's just been added to Menti, and you'll be prompted on a question about what are the challenges that you have faced in outdoor learning as a teacher, from a partner, wherever, however those are. We'll take a few minutes and you'll be able to see others' responses here on this shared screen, and then we'll go from there. You can see folks are starting to input, which is great. So starting to see teacher willingness to attempt outdoor learning. The wind, in the last couple of days has been a huge, as we start to think about wind and what that looks like. And let's see, the clothing piece certainly being a huge one. We talked about weather in some different ways. Scheduling, awesome. Busing and transportation for sure. That's always complicated, and even more so these days. Wonderful. Let this go on for another, this question for another 30 seconds or so, and then we'll move over and have an opportunity to share where are you finding successes? What is working for you? Because there certainly are. If 2020 hasn't been the year of challenges across the board, but it's also been such an amazing year to see creativity and flexibility come through. Give another just 10 seconds to add any last things on the challenges. And then Laura, let's go ahead and switch to our next question. So now you should be seeing a prompt on through that link to be thinking about solutions. So what is working for you as you are working to learn outside? What has allowed you to succeed as we go through this? What's been inspiring to you? Yeah, it's been amazing to see the different ways of people have been able to find funding, for sure. And if you haven't figured out already, you certainly can put in more than one answer. You're not limited to the one. So as many successes and inspirations. And of course, we'll be capturing all of this, and one of the many resources we'll share with you after this conversation will be the places where people have found successes. Seeing a lot of the community support, and again, going back to those stories from Mike and Glenn and Jessica, just working together. Someone has input a wagon full of loose parts we can take anywhere in the city. The imagery of that is wonderful. Building slowly small successes to build forward. I think that's such an important piece of this. Sometimes we look to look at the big problem and have the answer, but sometimes the answer can come in small pieces. And it maybe just is that you go outside for lunch to start, and then maybe you go outside for a 5-minute activity. There's lots of different ways to get there, which is wonderful. this makes me think of, the idea of having a word cloud, and I'm pretty sure without doing with the technical behind the scene, that community would be the really big word in the middle, which is a really amazing thing. And I think it speaks to the power of what we can do together. We'll take just 30 more seconds to finish adding any other ideas and places you've had success. I like necessity. We had to figure it out we had to get kids outside, so we figured it out. Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you all for continuing to input into that. To make sure that we can get to everything we have scheduled today, I'm going to turn it over to Paige. This will stay open as we go to the next presenter. Fear not, you can keep adding, but with that, I will turn it over to Paige from the Department of Education.
Thank you, Alex. Hi, everyone. My name is Paige Nichols, and I'm the Chief Innovation Officer at the Maine Department of Education. And thank you for having me here today. I want to be brief because it's been really great to hear from everyone else on the panel talking about the really amazing things that are happening in schools right now. I just want to talk about an opportunity, a resource that is coming at us. And as I was looking at what everyone was inputting as challenges and successes, I think there are possibilities within what I'm going to share to help overcome some of those challenges. So my team and I applied for a federal grant in June. We were one of 5 states awarded under Priority Area 3, which is to enhance remote learning models. Nathan, if you'd go to the next slide. So yeah, Priority Area 3 is to enhance remote learning models. So we developed a model. I had hoped, my communications team is working on a really kind of easy to follow infographic for this, which is forthcoming. So I don't have that today, and it's a little bit of a complicated design, but the parts of it that I think really will matter to this group is that there will be funding available and professional learning for educators, teachers, ed techs, administrators, counselors to participate in this. So the first phase of it is innovation courses that will be hosted by colleges and universities all over the state. They will be widely available to any educator that wants to participate. They are credit-bearing courses, and through the course, teams of educators will develop innovative pilots, which will later be published to an online community of practice, which is called Engine. We identified, thanks, Nathan. We identified in writing the grant 4 areas that we wanted to focus on for enhancing remote learning. And one of them is outdoor education. So obviously, like everyone on this group has already been innovating and doing unbelievable work related to outdoor ed. And so I think this provides an opportunity for some funding. So the pilot funding rounds, as you can see here, will begin next June. And we have $40 million to, $10 million for 40 $250,000 pilots over the course of a 3-year cycle. Of course, a district doesn't have to apply for the full 250,000, which would mean we'd be able to distribute more than 40 over the 3-year cycle. But they are significant grants that come with coaching from DOE staff and members of the University of Maine. And so I wanted to share this. There's a lot. We got a little held up with the U.S. Department of Education, so we were stalled a little bit. And we've been approved, so there'll be a lot more information coming soon. I believe I've put our website at the end of my slides. And just be paying attention if this is an area of interest in the coming weeks, because we will start advertising the courses, which again are wide open to educators that wish to participate. And one thing I meant to mention is, in order to apply for the pilot funding, educators will have had to go through the courses, at least 2 members of a pilot implementation team. And it's also a great opportunity for continued education and recertification, CEUs, et cetera. So more information again forthcoming. I think, this is will be a really great resource to expanding some of the amazing things that are already going on related to outdoor education for remote learning. And a part of it that I think is exciting is that these models will last long beyond the current challenge we're all faced with. So we're really excited, and I'm grateful to all of you, listening right now for all of the amazing work you are doing. I recognize really how challenging this time has been, and please know that we're so grateful for everything you're doing for students. So I'm going to pass it off now. Yeah, sorry, but I was maybe supposed to tell you to switch the slides. That's our website, so that'll have more information. Our narrative is in there right now, but we'll start to post more information as it becomes available. So, and feel free to reach out to me if you have any other questions. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Selena Green Warren, and I like to introduce myself as an early childhood educator working in a public school. I'm the kindergarten teacher and school garden coordinator at the Kingfield Elementary School. And before I tell our story or start to tell our story, I just want to say that outdoor education and outdoor learning and setting up outdoor classrooms is not something that happens overnight or even in a single school year. So it takes a while. It's good to start small. And as you can see from our slide right here, Kingfield Elementary School has a very long history of outdoor and place-based learning. So starting with our ski-skate program, that is a collaboration with Sugarloaf Mountain that we've had for over 30 years. It's been a way for our students to access the activities at Sugarloaf and let them engage in skiing, snowboarding, cross-country skiing. And for some children, they might not ever have access to that if that program didn't run, which would be a shame because they live in the community where that takes place. So you could also see that Growing Gardeners is our school garden program. That program has been an integral part of increasing outdoor learning experiences at our school. It started as an after-school program and has really transitioned now to being a curriculum that happens during the school day for all of our elementary students. Last year, I started forest school for my kindergarten students, and that was a way for me to break outside of my gardening curriculum and my area of comfort and really explore other facets of outdoor learning. And as a result, we established the forest school classroom. And since then, we've been really working to build other outdoor learning spaces at our school. Nathan, you can go ahead and move to the next slide. Thank you. So now I'm just going to kind of walk you through some pictures of our 3 outdoor classrooms that we do have at Kingfield Elementary School now. So the first is, of course, our school garden. We started small with this project, and this school garden was established in the 2014-2015 school year with just 2 raised beds. And from there, we built 2 more. We built a green shed, and as I mentioned before, we moved what was an after-school program into something that happens for all of our students. COVID, as was explained in the beginning, has just been wonderful for funding. As you can see, we have some beautiful benches, compliments of some timber from Sugarloaf Mountain, actually, and really, really exciting, not pictured in any of these pictures, but the newest addition to our garden classroom is going to be the addition of a pavilion that will be adjacent to our garden and will serve as a permanent outdoor structure for our students, a sun shelter, and just a place for teachers to store materials and feel comfortable taking their students outdoors. Nathan, you can go to the next slide, please. Here are just a few pictures of our forest school. As you can see in the snowy picture, that was last year, there's a big pile of brush there behind our circle. And we just started by finding a space and clearing some brush. And students gathered outside, and we did our entire kindergarten science curriculum outside last year. We collaborated with Maine Mountain Children's House, our local Montessori school. So the kindergarten students there and the kindergarten students at our school met once a week. And it was just a wonderful learning experience. Unfortunately, with COVID this year, we are not collaborating with Maine Mountain Children's House just due to, everything COVID related. But as you can see in the bottom picture, we've added some benches to our forest school classroom. And this fall, you can see pictures of our students enjoying those benches in our meeting area as they either listen to a read aloud or engage in a lesson. What's not pictured in that picture with the kiddos is we've also added a chalkboard. Again, also making it easier for teachers to feel comfortable using that outdoor learning space. Nathan, we can go to the next slide. This is our newest outdoor classroom. We like to call it the classroom on the hill. And this classroom, what's wonderful about this classroom, similarly to Forest School, is that the students, most particularly our second, third, and fourth grade students, have taken ownership in helping to develop and establish that outdoor classroom. So finding the space, the picture in the top left was just the space before we decided it was going to be an outdoor classroom space. You can see the picture in the top right of teachers enjoying and getting the chalkboard up for use. And the beautiful picture at the bottom is our students very excited about the arrival of stumps for their outdoor classroom. So those are our three outdoor classroom spaces. And from here, I will turn it over to Johanna Prince, our school principal.
Great. Hello, I am Johanna Prince. I'm the principal here at Kingfield Elementary School and have the really good fortune of seeing a lot of these projects come to life. So I wanted to talk a little bit about why we think our projects are working. I think we are fortunate. We live up in the western mountains of Maine. Many of us choose to live and work here because we love the outdoors ourselves. So we had natural staff support built into the idea of getting outside. It is what most of us spend our time on the weekends doing. And also a lot of our families are very supportive of being outside. As I mentioned in the video, we try and honor the full range of ways that people enjoy the outside, whether that is through hiking and biking or through hunting and fishing. And our community values all of those ways. I have just tried to nourish the teacher leadership. I have natural leaders like Selena who are eager to do this and have gotten that snowball rolling. And it becomes really easy once you have the small successes to continue to build forward. And we've really moved from that model. And as you can see, it's taken a long time. It has not happened overnight, as Selena mentioned. We also have tried to be intentional about cultivating more partnerships because we know that we can't do all the work ourselves, nor is it as rich and strong as to when we partner. So in this picture, Mark King, who has been our compost guru, who has helped us think about starting a school-based composting program. He's come and done professional development for teachers and then come back and worked with the students. We have partnered with 4-H. We have worked with our regional tech center to build materials. And then also we have looked for funding sources. I have tried to be as creative as possible and look under every couch cushion to support these projects. And so in the picture up top, you can see that is Ann Stiers when she came to do on-site professional development with us. That is the view from our playground looking over our school roof up onto Mount Abram. And we have just a beautiful facility to be outside. Nathan, if you'd go to the next slide. We are already seeing a lot of the positives. I think from my perspective, one of the richest positives is the kind of collaboration and conversations it leads to professionally. When educators are thinking about these projects, they have to come together for those shared goals, and that just reaps immediate benefits for the students when we talk about our teaching and learning. I think, I try and post and share the story of outdoor learning really publicly on our school Facebook page. And the posts that get the most positive comments from parents are when they see kids outside learning. My kid loves doing this. Oh, she came home and said such and such. And also just the community feedback. When kids are asking us, are we going outside today? Is today an outdoor classroom day? We know that something is working. Certainly the social and emotional benefits for students and for teachers to have a break outside, the health benefits. And I think we're a pre-K through 8 school. And what's exciting is when you see this movement sort of grow through the building and new teachers who haven't historically done outdoor work asking, hey, how do I sign up to use that space so I'm not interrupting someone else's class? Those are really good signs that we've got something working here. And then Nathan, our last slide. So for us, as we think about kind of what's next in our journey, I think the big place that we're working is continuing to reimagine our curriculum and building integrated units that help us teach not just in nature, but with nature. We are looking for ways to deepen our connections to the Wabanaki history of the land and make those connections to the historical uses of our land. And then also building sort of connections to the historical and modern traditions and some of the economic opportunities that might be available to kids through place-based careers. I think, facing the challenge of learning in winter and getting outside, like I said, because of the community interest, we tend to have kids that are fairly well prepared to be outside. And then we've just collected a lot of donations of last year's ski pants and snow boots that we can provide to other students who might not have them. And then I think we want to continue to celebrate and tell our story about what's working and the fact that when kids love to walk in the door of school, the rest of the job becomes very easy. And these kind of experiences are what help kids want to come to school. So I've listed both my email address and Selena's email address. I know we are eager to collaborate with others around the state who are doing this work. So please don't hesitate to reach out. And I think I will turn it over. I believe Patty is up next.
Hi, my name is Patty Bailey, and I'm Associate Professor of Early Childhood Education at the University of Maine at Farmington. I'm very excited about the stories. I've been working with Kingfield and others have been working, and I've been happy to see what's happening there. I'm going to talk about resources along with a couple of other folks. And Nathan, if it's okay, we're going to jump to the Inside Outside group first because Liza has to leave and she can talk about this. So Liza, why don't you talk about Inside Outside website, and then we'll come back to me and talk about the Nature Based Education Consortium portal.
That's great. Thanks so much, Patty. So hi, my name is Liza Lowe, and I wanted to draw people's attention to our Inside Outside website, and I think we'll get the link into the chat box there, because the website has a lot of different resources that can be helpful for teachers. This is just a slide showing you our homepage, but then also we have local chapters all throughout New England. So you can go to the website and you can find your local chapter in Maine. Right now we have 4, the Mid-Coast Maine chapter, Down East, Western Maine Foothills chapter, and soon the Katahdin region chapter. Ann Stiers, who organizes the Mid-Coast chapter, has a meeting coming up next week on Thursday, December 10th. So you can find that on the website. And the next slide. Also, I should mention on the homepage, you can see toward the bottom a calendar, so you can access different webinars and meetings that are happening right there from the homepage. Also, Ann Stiers is going to talk in a minute about a couple position statements we put out recently. But as a result of those position statements, we have a couple different places on our website now. One is this Getting Started section, and there's just a lot of resources there that can help you think about just that, how to get started, building your outdoor classroom space, thinking about, so you can see there's portable hand washing stations, outdoor seating, thinking about toilets outdoors, all of that kind of stuff. You can find those resources under Getting Started on the website. And then the next slide, we have a newer section, which is Outdoors in Winter, which kind of goes hand in hand with another position statement that we put out. And you'll see that this section of the website is being built kind of as we speak, but there are activities, different curriculum ideas, thinking about like what kind of sleds could you buy, or what are ways to keep children warm while you're outside in this winter weather. You can find all of that on the website. And then I think there's one other slide. Oh, okay, so this Ann's going to talk about, but the other thing I wanted to say is that, well, maybe I'll talk about it, because the next thing, we have some webinars coming up. So I'll just mention we have two webinars, one that is happening tomorrow that's specifically for early childhood educators, so up to kindergarten, first, second grade, and it'll happen at 7:30. Then we have another one next week that's more elementary teachers, but kindergarten to 8th grade. And Ann Stiers will be one of the presenters along with Amy Butler for that. You can find the registration information both on our website and on our Facebook page. And I think that's all. And I think now Ann will talk to you about our position statements.
Before you do that, Ann, I just wanted to mention that Olivia put a link in the chat that is for a handout that will be sent after the webinar, but it's also, you can get it from that link, and it has a lot of different resources on it. I'll talk about that in a minute. But if you have resources, if anyone that's listening to this has resources that they want to share, please put them in the chat. But go ahead, Ann, talk about the position statement and then come back to me, because I wanted to talk about the other portal.
I will. I just wanted to mention that there are 2 other webinars that are actually roundtables, virtual roundtables, that are on December 17th and January 14th, both at 7 p.m. And those are going to be a collaborative effort with teachers who are doing this in the field and community partners who will be supporting that. I believe Olivia and Eliza Minucci will be doing the first one in December, and then I will be doing the other one with Kit Harrington from Vermont. So those are some wonderful other things that are coming up. So definitely tune in to Inside Outside. It's a remarkable organization that has done such incredible things for the nature-based movement in the Northeast region here. So outdoor learning in cold weather is our position statement that we actually have come up with really collaboratively. This grew out of the Inside Outside Advisory Group. And that group is made up with several folks from Antioch University, from UMF, Patty, and then some folks in Vermont. So it's a Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont group that kind of wrote this together and collaborated. And really it's the effort to say, what could this look like? How could this happen? What's a potential schedule? The research that's behind it. So please take a look at that. The link is on the Inside Outside website as well, and in the resources materials that you'll get at the end of this call. So Patty, I will pass it back to you.
Okay, Nathan, if you want to go back to the previous. there. So I just want to mention, someone did say in the chat, what about high school? What about older students? This does not end at 8th grade, and you're right, it doesn't. And there are some resources on the handout that do, there's one that's called Envirothon that is a Maine natural resource problem solving competition for grades 9 through 12. But we agree, this is for all ages and there are resources. So this Nature Based Education Consortium outdoor learning schools web portal is also a website, and I wanted to point out just a couple things from that. There's a quick reference guide that's that you can download from the portal. There are lots of different resources on the portal. The quick reference guide talks about why outdoor learning, what does it look like with COVID-19, how do you implement the outdoor learning, some other things, there's sample schedules, some other things on the site link you to guidance for outdoor learning, training opportunities. A lot of things we're talking about are on both sites, inside, outside, and the NEBEC site. Funding opportunities, school stories, frequently asked questions, news articles. So there's lots of really wonderful information on this site. And things are constantly being added. That's the other thing, to come back and look often, because things are being added to this site, being added to the inside outside site. The handout, where the link that's on the chat has a lot of different other information about the DOE REV grant that Paige talked about. There's a link for that. The Agriculture and Food Research Initiative program, Green Schoolyards America, which is a national COVID-19 outdoor learning initiative. There's information on the National Learning Initiative from North Carolina that has an early childhood focus. Children in Nature Network, research to support outdoor learning. There's other information, so I'll let you take a look at that. Do want to mention the Natural Start Alliance, which is another great website and group to look at. The other thing that I wanted to mention is something that a number of us have been working on, a group at Antioch, the Inside Outside group, us here at University of Maine at Farmington, our outdoor learning stories. And these are case studies that we're doing at different sites to capture the stories of what's happening, of the outdoor learning that's happening in these public schools and other schools. And we really want to, show the benefits and just give examples so people can see how to do things. So if you have a story that you want to tell, please contact me. My information is listed here. I'm one of a group of many people that are working on this, but please do contact me, and we want to get those stories out there, what's happening here in Maine. We have one more item that we want to talk about, which is also on the handout, Teach Me Outside professional development modules. And Alex, are you here to talk about that?
Yeah, thanks so much, Patty. So my name's Alex Brazili. I'm from the Maine Math and Science Alliance. And the Teach Me Outside initiative has been working with a professional learning advisory group of 15 in-school and out-of-school time educators throughout 2020 to develop Maine-based professional learning resources for educator teams for 2 different modules. One of them is Teaching Outside 101, and the other is Integrating Outdoor and Environmental Learning across the curriculum. And so these modules are designed to be facilitated with a team of educators or community partners, and we'll have train the trainer opportunities available this coming spring. All materials will be available open source on the Teach Me Outside website when it comes online, and they're designed to be really accessible entry points for educators that either want to start integrating more environmental or outdoor learning into their schools, or for those that kind of want to take what they're already doing to the next level. And so we're going to be advertising widely as these opportunities become available. So stay tuned for that exciting work. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. And did you want to introduce yourself? Because I don't think you actually did. We all know you, but you want to let others know.
Oh, sorry. I think my mute must have got me. I'm Alex Brazili. I'm from the Maine Math and Science Alliance, and we've been part of the Teach Me Outside initiative with the Nature Based Education Consortium and the Maine Environmental Education Association. Thanks.
Thank you. Anne?
Thank you, Alex. Sorry, we were just trying to catch Liza so she could introduce Inside Outside before she had to leave. So I didn't get a chance to just say, I'm just so happy that so many people joined us today. Ann Steyer's Juniper Hill School founder. And now I have the incredible honor of being able to work with many, many, many public school and independent school teachers all over the state in doing professional development. So I just, I'm just so glad to be here.
Thank you, Anne. So Nathan, do you want to close us out?
Yeah, thank you, Patty. I just want to thank everyone for participating in today's forum, both the speakers today, the folks from schools telling about the story of their schools and outdoor learning, how they've responded to COVID. There are many people who registered who were not able to make it today, so we have recorded this event. We'll be sending out the recording along with a resource packet. Patty mentioned the handout that has been linked in the chat. We'll be collecting any resources that you're sharing in the chat right now, adding it to that document to make sure that it's as comprehensive as possible when we share it out more broadly with folks who are both here today with us and those who weren't in the loop on the first time around. I want to encourage everyone to fill out the exit survey that's going to be linked in the chat and is linked at the bottom of the resource handout. It is a great way to continue to help us understand and respond to emerging needs and ideas on outdoor learning in Maine. If you want a certificate showing your participation in the forum, if it's for continuing education credit or otherwise, you can indicate that on the exit survey as well. This is also a great way to opt in, only if you want to a contact list that we'll share with all participants. So it's a great way to continue learning and sharing and following up with some of the folks who you may have been communicating with in the chat, who you may have heard a story from, and any of the panelists as well. So thank you everyone for a really wonderful hour that we've spent together. We can wrap up a little bit early, and I just want to express my gratitude to all of you for doing really tremendous work in a difficult time. So I am appreciative of all of you, as are our panelists. Thank you very much.